When Allah takes care of someone, it does not always look the way we imagine. We think care means ease, comfort, and constant reassurance. But Allah's care is far deeper than that. Sometimes His care appears as restraint, sometimes as delay, sometimes as silence. And very often, His care is hidden from the eyes of people, but deeply felt in the heart of the one He is protecting. Today, I want to speak about something very specific. Not success, not marriage, not productivity. I want to speak about the quiet signs that Allah is caring for a woman, signs that are not loud, signs that are not performative, signs that most people misunderstand and many women overlook in their own lives. If you recognize yourself in these signs, do not rush to feel proud. Feel grateful, because Allah's care is not random. It is intentional, and it comes with responsibility. When Allah removes people from a woman's life without asking her permission, it often feels confusing before it feels comforting. At first, the heart interprets distance as rejection. Silence feels personal. A relationship fading feels like failure. She starts to question herself. Was I not enough? Did I say the wrong thing? Did I misjudge people again? This inner questioning is natural, but it is not the truth. The truth is that Allah sees the full picture, while we only see the moment. We see companionship, history, familiarity. Allah sees influence, direction, and outcome. He sees how certain people slowly drain your Iman, weaken your self-worth, normalize what should never be normal, or anchor you to a version of yourself you were meant to outgrow. And because Allah is caring for this woman, He does not wait for the damage to become obvious. He acts early. Sometimes the removal is gentle. Conversations slow down. Priorities shift. The bond weakens naturally. There is no dramatic ending, no clear explanation, just distance. Other times, the removal is sharp. Conflict appears out of nowhere. Words are said that cannot be taken back. A door closes suddenly. This is the kind of separation that hurts deeply because it feels undeserved. But pain does not mean injustice. Pain often means surgery, not punishment. One of the hardest lessons for many women is understanding that good feelings do not always mean good outcomes. You can care deeply about someone who is quietly harmful to you. You can love people who are not aligned with your values, your growth, or your akhirah. Allah does not remove people because you are weak. He removes them because you are being protected from staying attached out of emotion rather than wisdom. If Allah had left the decision to you, you might have kept making excuses. You might have said, "They didn't mean it," or "I can handle it," or "I don't want to be alone." You might have tolerated disrespect, emotional confusion, or spiritual stagnation simply because letting go felt harder than staying. Allah knows this about the human heart. He knows how attached we become to what is familiar, even when it slowly harms us. That is why His care sometimes overrides our choices. A woman under Allah's care begins to notice a pattern. The same type of people keep exiting. The same emotional lessons repeat. And eventually she realizes that Allah is not randomly taking people away. He is refining her environment. He is teaching her discernment. He is showing her that access to her heart, her time, and her emotional energy is not something everyone deserves. This kind of removal also teaches a woman to shift her source of security. When people leave, she is forced to confront where she was placing her emotional safety. Was it in friendships, in validation, in being needed or wanted? Allah removes people so that reliance returns to where it belongs. Not because people are evil, but because they were never meant to carry the weight of being your anchor. Another subtle aspect of this sign is that Allah removes people quietly, so the woman learns not to seek closure from creation. Not every ending comes with an explanation. Not every departure comes with accountability. Sometimes Allah closes a chapter without allowing a final conversation because the lesson is not in what they would say, but in what you must accept. Closure, in these moments, comes from trusting Allah's decision, not understanding it fully. Over time, a woman who is under Allah's care develops a different relationship with loss. She still feels sadness, but she no longer feels panic. She no longer begs people to stay at the cost of her dignity. She no longer chases clarity from those who chose distance. She begins to say, if Allah removed them, then there is khair here, even if I cannot see it yet. This does not make her cold, it makes her grounded. She becomes selective, not suspicious, open-hearted, but not careless. She learns that people are temporary by design, while Allah is constant by promise. And this realization brings a deep form of emotional maturity. Perhaps the most important part of this sign is that after people leave, Allah fills the space in unexpected ways. He replaces noise with clarity. He replaces chaos with peace. He replaces dependency with strength. The woman may not gain new people immediately, but she gains herself. She gains time to heal, to reflect, to rebuild her relationship with Allah without interference. Eventually, she looks back and realizes that the people who left were blocking doors she did not even know existed. Their absence created space for growth, for better companionship, or simply for inner peace. What once felt like loss now feels like mercy. This is why this sign is not abandonment, it is protection. Allah does not strip a woman of people to make her lonely, He removes them to make her safe. And when a woman truly understands this, she stops asking, why did they leave? And starts saying, Alhamdulillah, Allah is taking care of me. When Allah is caring for a woman, one of the clearest internal signs appears quietly, not outwardly. Her heart no longer tolerates what it once ignored. Things that used to feel normal now feel heavy. Words that once passed easily now sit uncomfortably in her chest. Actions that were once justified now disturb her sleep. This sensitivity does not come from fear of people, it comes from awareness of Allah. At first, this change can feel frustrating. She may wonder why life suddenly feels harder, why she can no longer go with the flow, why she feels guilt so quickly, even for things others brush off. She may compare herself to others and think they seem lighter, freer, less burdened. But what she is experiencing is not restriction, it is refinement. Allah does not allow the hearts He is caring for to become numb. A numb heart can sin repeatedly without feeling consequence. A protected heart cannot. Sensitivity is not weakness. It is a sign that Allah is actively shaping the inner world of a woman. He is teaching her to listen to her conscience before her ego, and to her faith before her desires. This sensitivity often shows up in subtle ways. She may feel uneasy in certain gatherings without being able to explain why. Certain conversations drain her instead of entertain her. Jokes she once laughed at now feel inappropriate. She may even feel uncomfortable benefiting from something that is technically allowed, but spiritually distracting. This is not overthinking. This is alignment happening at the heart level. A woman under Allah's care begins to experience guilt as a guide, not a punishment. Guilt becomes a signal, not a sentence. It pushes her to pause, to reflect, to correct herself early before patterns form. Allah could have allowed her to drift further away before waking her up. Instead, He interrupts her early. That interruption is mercy. It is important to understand that this sensitivity does not mean she is sinless. She still makes mistakes, she still struggles, but the difference is that she does not feel at peace with disobedience. Sin does not feel casual anymore. It feels heavy, even when no one else knows. This is a sign that Allah is watching over her heart more closely. Many people misunderstand this stage and assume something is wrong with them. They think they have become too strict, too serious, or too emotional. In reality, Allah has raised their internal standard. He is preparing them for a deeper relationship with Him. A heart that is sensitive is a heart that is alive. This sensitivity also teaches a woman accountability without shame. She learns to say, "This does not sit right with me," even when she cannot articulate it perfectly. She learns to walk away from things that disturb her soul without needing external validation. This builds spiritual confidence. She begins to trust her inner compass, knowing that Allah is guiding it. Another aspect of this sign is that repentance becomes easier, tears come quicker, dua becomes more honest. She no longer delays returning to Allah after a mistake. She does not justify her actions endlessly. Instead, she turns back quickly because distance from Allah feels uncomfortable. This discomfort is not anxiety, it is love. Allah softens the heart of a woman He cares for because a soft heart returns faster. It breaks, but it heals. It feels pain, but it grows. A hard heart may appear strong, but it is disconnected. A soft heart feels everything, including the closeness of Allah. Over time, this sensitivity reshapes her choices. She becomes more intentional about what she watches, listens to, speaks about, and tolerates. Not because she is afraid of slipping, but because she values her peace. She realizes that protecting her heart is part of protecting her faith. This stage also brings loneliness sometimes. When your heart changes, not everyone can walk with you anymore. But Allah replaces that loneliness with depth. He fills the space with reflection, understanding, and a stronger sense of purpose. The woman begins to feel seen by Allah even when misunderstood by people. A sensitive heart is not meant to be hardened again. It is meant to be guarded. Allah gives this sensitivity to women He wants close to Him because closeness requires awareness. You cannot be close to Allah while ignoring what distances you from Him. If a woman notices that her heart no longer feels comfortable with sin, even in small forms, she should not suppress it. She should honor it. She should protect it. Because this sensitivity is not self-generated. It is a sign that Allah is actively caring for her inner world, guiding her gently but firmly toward Him. And when Allah cares for a woman's heart, He is not limiting her life. He is preserving her soul. One of the most misunderstood signs that Allah is caring for a woman is delay, not denial, delay. And this is where faith is truly tested because delay feels personal when you believe you have done everything right. You prayed, you grew, you corrected yourself, you waited patiently. You told yourself, "I am ready now." And still, what you want does not arrive. This is where many women quietly break inside. They start asking questions they never voice out loud. Am I being punished? Is Allah displeased with me? Did I misunderstand His signs? Did I waste my time preparing for something that was never meant for me? These thoughts are painful, but they are also human. However, they are not accurate. Allah's delay is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of His care. When Allah is caring for a woman, He does not rush her into things simply because she feels ready. Readiness is not only emotional or spiritual, it is also situational, circumstantial, and unseen. Allah sees layers you cannot see. He sees consequences you cannot predict. He sees how one small shift in timing could save you from years of pain. A woman may feel ready for marriage, but Allah sees the state of the other heart involved. She may feel ready for relief, but Allah sees how the struggle is still shaping something essential within her. She may feel ready for answers, but Allah knows that clarity too early would weaken her trust rather than strengthen it. Delay is one of Allah's most precise tools of care. What makes this sign particularly difficult is that delay often comes after growth. A woman expects reward after effort. She expects ease after patience. But Allah does not always reward immediately, because immediate reward can sometimes undo the lesson. When Allah delays, He is not ignoring effort. He is preserving its impact. Another painful aspect of delay is comparison. She sees others receiving what she has been praying for, people who seem less prepared, less careful, less intentional. This comparison can quietly poison the heart. But what she does not see is that Allah's care is individualized. He does not give everyone the same path because not everyone has the same destiny. Some people are given early so they can learn through loss. Others are delayed so they can be protected from it. A woman under Allah's care begins to slowly realize that not getting what she wants immediately is often what saves her from becoming attached to the wrong version of it. She may want marriage, but Allah delays it until it comes with peace instead of confusion. She may want stability, but Allah delays it until it does not replace her reliance on Him. She may want clarity, but Allah delays it until her heart is strong enough to receive it without arrogance or despair. Delay also exposes intentions. It reveals whether a woman wants the blessing more than she wants Allah or Allah more than the blessing. This is not a test meant to humiliate her. It is a test meant to purify her attachment. Allah cares deeply about where a woman's heart settles when things do not move. During delay, Allah often gives smaller gifts that go unnoticed. He gives emotional strength. He gives insight. He gives boundaries. He gives the ability to walk away from what once tempted her. These are not replacements for what she wants. They are preparations for it. A woman who is not under Allah's care may get what she wants quickly, but without grounding. A woman who is under Allah's care may wait longer, but when the door opens, it opens cleanly, without regret, without unnecessary wounds, without asking, "Why did I rush this?" There is also a mercy in not knowing how close something is. If a woman knew exactly how long the delay would be, she might either lose hope too early or stop striving too soon. Uncertainty keeps her returning to Allah. It keeps her dua alive. It keeps her humility intact. Delay teaches a woman to separate urgency from importance. Not everything important needs to happen now. Some things need to happen right. Allah is not governed by impatience. He is governed by wisdom. Over time, a woman under Allah's care begins to change how she views waiting. She still feels longing, but it no longer controls her. She still hopes, but it no longer defines her mood. She learns how to live fully, even while something remains unresolved. This is a powerful form of emotional and spiritual maturity. Eventually, when Allah does give, the woman often realizes that if it had come earlier, she would not have been able to hold it properly. Her reactions would have been driven by fear, desperation, or dependency. Delay was not empty time, it was shaping time. This is why delay is not cruelty. It is protection disguised as patience. Allah delays because He cares too much to give you something before it can be a mercy instead of a test. When a woman understands this, she stops asking, "Why is Allah withholding this from me?" and starts asking, "What is Allah preparing me for?" And that shift changes everything. Allah does not delay out of neglect. He delays out of precision. And when He is caring for a woman, He would rather make her wait than let her be harmed by something she asked for too soon. One of the least understood signs that Allah is caring for a woman is when He shields her from attention, admiration, and visibility that she did not actively seek. In a world that constantly tells women their value lies in being noticed, desired, and chosen, this form of protection can feel like neglect. It can feel like being overlooked. It can quietly hurt. But this protection is deliberate and it is powerful. Many women assume that being unseen means being unworthy. They internalize silence as rejection. They believe that if they were truly valuable, people would pursue them more, praise them more, or fight to keep them close. But Allah does not measure worth the way people do. When Allah cares for a woman, He is far more concerned with her safety, her sincerity, and her heart than with her visibility. Attention is not neutral. It shapes identity. It feeds ego. It creates pressure. It invites expectations. And not all attention is meant to bless. Some attention distracts. Some attention corrupts intention. Some attention attaches a woman's sense of self to how she is perceived rather than who she is before Allah. Allah shields certain women from this because He knows what it would do to them at that stage of their life. Sometimes this protection appears as being ignored in spaces where others are celebrated. Sometimes it appears as proposals that never materialize. Sometimes it appears as not being chosen publicly, not being praised loudly, not being admired openly. And the woman may ask, "What is wrong with me?" Nothing is wrong with her. Something is being preserved. Allah protects a woman from attention when that attention would pull her away from herself, when it would make her perform instead of live, when it would push her to compromise her boundaries to maintain approval, when it would make her start shaping her choices around being liked rather than being aligned. Attention can be intoxicating. It can make a woman forget her limits. It can blur her standards. It can make her tolerate things she would otherwise walk away from, simply to avoid losing validation. Allah knows this vulnerability in the human heart. And when He is caring for a woman, He guards her from becoming dependent on being desired. Another hidden danger of attention is that it invites comparison. The more visible a woman becomes, the more she is measured, evaluated, and judged. Her life becomes a topic. Her choices become commentary. Her struggles become entertainment. Allah shields some women from this exposure because He knows their hearts need peace more than praise. This protection also applies to romantic attention. Not every man who notices a woman is meant to approach her. Not every interest is honorable. Not every attraction comes with respect. Allah often prevents certain connections from forming, not because the woman is lacking, but because the intention on the other side is not clean. When Allah blocks attention, He is often blocking harm that the woman cannot yet see, harm to her self-worth, harm to her emotional stability, harm to her future. He is sparing her from confusion disguised as affection. A woman under Allah's care may also notice that when attention does come, it is measured, it is respectful, it does not overwhelm her, it does not demand performance. It does not pressure her to be someone else. This is not coincidence. Allah controls not only who enters your life, but how they enter. There is also a spiritual reason for this protection. Attention can shift intention. When people start watching, hearts start adjusting. Actions become less sincere. Worship becomes quieter or more performative. Allah shields a woman from unnecessary attention when He wants her relationship with Him to remain pure and undistorted. Obscurity in this sense is not a lack, it is a shield. It allows a woman to grow without an audience, to heal without explanation, to obey Allah without distraction, to build substance instead of image. This does not mean the woman will remain unseen forever. It means she is unseen for now, while Allah works on her internally. And when Allah does bring her into visibility, it will be with stability, not insecurity, with clarity, not confusion, with grounding, not ego. Many women look back later in life and realize that the periods where they felt invisible were the periods that saved them from the wrong relationships, saved them from emotional burnout, saved them from becoming attached to a version of themselves that was driven by approval instead of purpose. Allah does not expose everything He loves. He protects it. When a woman understands this, she stops chasing attention. She stops measuring herself by who notices her. She stops equating silence with failure. Instead, she begins to trust that if Allah is withholding attention, it is because He is providing protection, and that protection is not small. It is the kind that preserves dignity, sincerity, and peace. It is the kind that allows a woman to stand firmly in who she is, even when no one is watching. This is not neglect, this is care. And when Allah shields a woman from attention she did not ask for, He is telling her, without words, that her value does not need an audience to exist. One of the clearest signs that Allah is caring for a woman is not the absence of hardship, but the direction her hardship takes her. Trials come to everyone. Pain is universal, but the response to pain is where Allah's care becomes visible. When Allah is caring for a woman, her trials do not sever her relationship with Him, they strengthen it. At first, this does not feel like strength. It feels like breaking. She feels overwhelmed, exhausted, and unsure of herself. She cries more than she speaks. She questions more than she answers. But something subtle happens beneath the surface. Even as she struggles, she turns toward Allah, not away from Him. She prays even when she feels unworthy. She makes dua even when she feels tired of waiting. She sits with Allah even when she has nothing polished to say. This turning is not something she forces. It happens naturally because Allah is pulling her closer through the very thing that hurts her. Many people experience hardship and grow distant from Allah. They become resentful, they withdraw, they stop asking, they stop trusting. This is not because they are weak, but because Allah is not actively guiding them through the test. Guidance during hardship is itself a form of care. A woman under Allah's care may still feel confusion, sadness, and frustration, but she does not feel cut off. Even when she is angry, she speaks to Allah about it. Even when she is disappointed, she brings it to Him. She does not feel the need to pretend she is okay. Her relationship with Allah becomes more honest, more raw, and more real. This is an intimate form of care. Trials also strip away illusions. They reveal what truly matters. They expose where a woman was placing her trust, her identity, and her emotional security. And while this exposure is uncomfortable, it is deeply cleansing. Allah removes false supports so the woman learns where true support lies. When Allah is caring for a woman, He does not allow her to drown in distraction during hardship. He does not numb her pain with constant noise. Instead, He gives her moments of stillness where reflection happens. These moments may feel heavy, but they are transformative. They push her to ask deeper questions. Who am I relying on? What am I running from? What am I afraid to surrender? Through hardship, her faith becomes less theoretical and more lived. Dua is no longer just a habit. It becomes a lifeline. Salah becomes less about routine and more about survival. The prayer mat becomes a place of release, not obligation. Another sign of Allah's care is that even when the trial is long, it does not hollow her out. It shapes her. She may feel worn down at times, but she is not emptied of meaning. She learns patience not as passive endurance, but as active surrender. She learns that strength is not the absence of tears, but the decision to keep turning to Allah with them. Trials also teach her compassion. A woman who has been broken and rebuilt by Allah becomes softer toward others. She listens differently. She judges less quickly. She understands pain without needing explanation. This softness is not fragility. It is depth. Over time, she begins to notice something else. The same hardship that once terrified her now feels familiar. Not because it no longer hurts, but because she knows she is not alone in it. Allah's presence becomes more tangible in moments of weakness than it ever was in comfort. This is not coincidence. Allah often introduces Himself most clearly through difficulty, not because He wants His servants to suffer, but because suffering strips away everything that distracts from Him. A woman under Allah's care also learns resilience that is rooted in faith, not control. She stops trying to manage every outcome. She stops obsessing over what she cannot fix. Instead, she focuses on what she can do. Show up, make dua, act with integrity, and trust Allah with the rest. Eventually, when relief does come, it does not make her arrogant. It humbles her. She remembers how fragile she felt. She remembers how much she leaned on Allah, and she carries that awareness forward instead of forgetting it. Perhaps the most powerful part of this sign is that even if the hardship does not resolve the way she hoped, her relationship with Allah remains intact. She does not say, "I will believe when things improve." She believes even while things are unresolved. This is a rare form of faith. Trials that push a woman closer to Allah are not meant to destroy her. They are meant to anchor her. They teach her that closeness to Allah is not dependent on circumstances, but on surrender. When Allah cares for a woman, He does not promise her an easy life. He promises her His presence within it, and that presence is what carries her through what would otherwise break her. This is not suffering without meaning. This is care expressed through refinement. And a woman who recognizes this stops asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and starts saying, "Allah is with me, even here." One of the most subtle yet profound signs that Allah is caring for a woman is that her attachment to the dunya begins to loosen naturally. Not because she forces herself to detach, and not because she suddenly stops wanting things, but because her heart quietly shifts. What once felt urgent no longer controls her. What once consumed her thoughts now feels manageable. The dunya does not disappear from her life, but it no longer sits at the center of it. At first, this change can feel strange. She may notice that achievements do not excite her the way they used to. Material goals still matter, but they do not define her mood. Praise feels pleasant, but it does not inflate her. Loss hurts, but it does not collapse her. She begins to live with a sense of balance that surprises even her. This is not indifference, it is grounding. A woman under Allah's care does not suddenly become careless about life. She still works, plans, and strives. But she no longer builds her identity on outcomes she cannot control. Allah gently teaches her that the dunya is a tool, not a destination. And when this lesson settles in the heart, desperation fades. Many women remain deeply attached to the dunya because it feels like their only source of security. Success, relationships, stability, and recognition become emotional lifelines. When any of these shake, everything shakes. But when Allah is caring for a woman, He slowly shifts her sense of safety away from what can be lost and toward what cannot. This detachment often develops through disappointment. Not all at once, and not dramatically. Small, unmet expectations accumulate. Plans do not unfold perfectly. People do not always show up. And instead of becoming bitter, the woman becomes realistic. She learns that nothing in this world is permanent enough to carry the weight of her heart. Allah does not remove love for the dunya completely because life still requires engagement. What He removes is obsession. He removes the belief that happiness is tied to specific outcomes. He removes the illusion that control equals peace. A woman under Allah's care may notice that she recovers faster from setbacks. She feels disappointment, but she does not spiral. She grieves, but she does not lose herself. She learns how to sit with discomfort without needing immediate resolution. This emotional regulation is not self-taught. It is the result of trust being built slowly through experience. Another sign of this detachment is that comparison loses its grip. She may still notice what others have, but it no longer destabilizes her. She understands that different paths do not mean unequal value. She stops asking, "Why them and not me?" and starts asking, "What is Allah teaching me here?" This shift protects her from envy, resentment, and constant dissatisfaction. It allows her to appreciate what she has without being blind to what she does not. Gratitude becomes quieter but deeper. Detachment from the dunya also brings clarity in decision-making. A woman under Allah's care becomes less likely to compromise her values for short-term gain. She is less tempted by things that promise quick comfort but long-term emptiness. She begins to think beyond the immediate moment because her heart is no longer anchored to instant gratification. This detachment also affects relationships. She stops clinging. She stops over-investing emotionally in people who cannot reciprocate. She loves sincerely, but she does not lose herself in others. Her sense of self becomes stable, not dependent on constant reassurance. Importantly, this detachment does not make her passive. It makes her intentional. She chooses what deserves her energy instead of reacting to everything. She learns when to let go, not because she is weak, but because she knows what is not worth carrying. Over time, she experiences a kind of inner freedom. Life still has ups and downs, but her peace is not constantly negotiated. She does not feel like she is always one loss away from collapse. Her heart has learned where to rest. Allah gives this detachment to women. He wants to protect from burnout, from chronic dissatisfaction, and from building their worth on unstable ground. He knows that a heart too attached to the dunya is easily wounded, so he teaches it to hold lightly. This lesson also prepares her for both outcomes, receiving and not receiving. If Allah gives, she is grateful without becoming arrogant. If Allah withholds, she is steady without becoming resentful. This emotional balance is rare, and it is a sign of deep spiritual care. Eventually, the woman realizes that this detachment has not taken anything away from her life. It has added depth to it. She enjoys blessings without fear of losing them. She faces hardship without fear of being destroyed by it. When a woman becomes less attached to the dunya without trying, it is because Allah has quietly repositioned her heart, not away from life, but above being controlled by it. This is not withdrawal. This is elevation, and it is one of the clearest signs that Allah is caring for her in ways that cannot be seen, but can be felt in every part of how she lives. One of the most overlooked signs that Allah is caring for a woman is the kind of strength she carries quietly. It is not loud, it is not announced, it is not always recognized by the people around her. And often, even she does not fully realize it while she is living through it. But this strength is real and it is deliberate. This strength does not look like confidence all the time. Sometimes it looks like getting up when you would rather stay in bed. Sometimes it looks like showing up for responsibilities when your heart feels heavy. Sometimes it looks like choosing patience when everything inside you wants to react. This is not weakness disguised as strength. This is endurance shaped by Allah. A woman under Allah's care is often given burdens that stretch her in ways she never expected. Responsibilities appear suddenly, emotional weight accumulates, expectations increase, and yet she continues. Not because she feels capable, but because Allah makes her capable. This strength is different from self-reliance. Self-reliance says, I can handle this. Divine strength says, I cannot, but Allah can. And this shift changes everything. Instead of burning out trying to control outcomes, the woman learns to rely on Allah for steadiness. Her strength becomes sustained, not forced. Others may look at her life and assume she is unaffected. They may think she is unbothered, emotionally distant, or naturally resilient. They do not see the nights she struggles internally. They do not see the moments she almost breaks. They do not see the silent conversations she has with Allah when no one else is listening. Allah sees all of it. And because Allah sees it, He compensates her in ways people cannot. He gives her clarity when she feels lost. He gives her composure when emotions are overwhelming. He gives her restraint when reacting would cause harm. These are not personality traits, these are provisions. This unseen strength often develops through repetition. One test follows another. One disappointment leads to another responsibility. And over time, the woman realizes that she has survived things she once thought would destroy her, not because the pain was small, but because Allah enlarged her capacity. This realization does not make her arrogant, it humbles her. She understands that she is not strong on her own, she is supported, and that support creates a deep sense of trust. She begins to face challenges with less panic, not because she expects ease, but because she knows she will not be abandoned. Another sign of this strength is emotional restraint. A woman under Allah's care learns when to speak and when to stay silent. She learns not to expose her wounds to people who cannot handle them. She learns that not everyone deserves access to her pain. This discernment is a form of strength that protects her dignity. This strength also shows up in her ability to continue loving without becoming bitter. She does not allow hardship to harden her heart completely. She becomes cautious but not cruel, guarded but not closed. This balance is extremely difficult to achieve without divine help. Allah also gives her strength to let go, to release people, plans, and expectations that no longer serve her growth. Letting go is often harder than holding on. It requires trust, it requires surrender. And when a woman can let go without resentment, it is a sign that Allah is holding her heart. Over time, this unseen strength becomes a foundation. She may still feel tired, but she is no longer fragile. She may still feel pain, but she is no longer easily shaken. She develops an inner stability that does not depend on circumstances being perfect. This strength also protects her from desperation. She does not chase what is not meant for her. She does not beg for love, attention, or validation. She knows that what Allah has written will reach her without humiliation. This confidence is not loud, but it is unshakable. Often, the woman herself does not recognize this strength until she looks back. She sees the version of herself that once doubted she would survive certain seasons, and she realizes that Allah carried her through every single one. This is not accidental. Allah does not give heavy loads to empty hands. He gives them to hearts He has fortified. When Allah is caring for a woman, He does not always remove the weight. He strengthens the one carrying it. He does not always silence the storm. He stabilizes the soul inside it. And this is perhaps one of the greatest forms of care, to be given strength that does not rely on applause, recognition, or external support. Strength that exists even in silence. Strength that holds firm when no one is watching. This is the strength Allah gives to women. He is protecting, not to impress the world, but to survive it with faith intact. And if a woman finds herself standing after everything she thought would break her, she should know that she did not stand alone. Allah was holding her even when she did not realize it. When a woman begins to recognize these signs in her life, the purpose is not for her to feel special or superior. It is for her to become aware. Awareness brings responsibility. Allah's care is not passive. It is active, intentional, and deeply personal. And when Allah cares for a woman in these ways, He is not only protecting her from harm, He is preparing her for closeness to Him. Many women spend years asking Allah to change their circumstances, not realizing that Allah is already changing them. He is refining their hearts, redirecting their attachments, strengthening their patience, and shielding them from what would quietly damage them. What looks like loss is often mercy. What feels like delay is often precision. What appears like isolation is often protection. Allah's care does not always feel gentle. Sometimes it feels heavy. Sometimes it feels lonely. Sometimes it feels confusing, but it is never careless. Allah does not remove, delay, or test without wisdom. He does not strip away comfort without offering something deeper in return. And He does not allow a woman to walk through difficulty without also giving her what she needs to survive it. If a woman sees herself in these signs, she should not rush to explain them to others. This care is intimate. It is between her and Allah. Her role is not to question why it looks the way it does, but to respond to it with trust, patience, and sincerity. Allah's care is not proven by how easy life becomes. It is proven by how anchored the heart remains when life is not easy. And when a woman learns to recognize Allah's care in hidden forms, she stops fearing what she does not understand. She stops measuring her life by appearances. She stops asking, "What is missing?" and starts asking, "What is Allah protecting me from?" Because the greatest sign that Allah is caring for a woman is not that her path is smooth, but that her faith is being preserved along the way. And if Allah is protecting her faith, then no matter what she loses, nothing essential has been taken from her at all.